So a few months ago, I tried uploading as many AI generated images as I could to stock photography websites, all within 90 days, and by the end of it, we only made a total of $33.63, which doesn't sound great, especially when considering the amount of time that I spent generating, upscaling, and uploading these 997 images to Adobe Stock. But as of today, we're currently sat at $128.29, which isn't too bad, but I do have to admit that I have been slacking with the uploads since the last video went live, as we're currently at 1,835 images in my portfolio. And I think if I had uploaded an extra 1,000 to 2,000 images, this would have been slightly higher and closer to the $200 or $300 mark. And for most people watching this video, you're likely already trying to make money on Adobe Stock, or you're just simply doing your research by watching these types of videos to figure out whether it's worth it or not. And from my personal experience, I have to say that seeing the amount of money it's made me compared to the amount of time that I've put into it, which is again $128.29 for 1,835 images, I would have to say no, it's not really worth it. But to counter this, I will say it's only been a few months since these images have been live, and when looking at my earnings on a weekly basis since I first started, we can see that it's generally been on an incline and gradually been increasing on a week-to-week basis, especially with my higher paying weeks coming from a period where I wasn't uploading anything at all. Now, I don't have a magic ball that can predict whether this will continue to increase without me uploading any more images, but if I did leave the account alone for another year or two, I think it would be a fair guess to say that my earnings could reach up to $400 or anywhere up to $600. And if that were the case, then I would consider it to be somewhat worth my time in at least trying it out. But having an extra $500 isn't exactly life-changing, and I can imagine for most of you watching right now, you're trying to make way more than this. So this is where I really want to push myself even further to test out Adobe Stock and these AI image side hustles. So by the end of the year, I want to reach 10,000 images within my portfolio, and then we'll see how that performs. And I know I can generate 10,000 images and have them all uploaded to Adobe Stock by the end of the year, but that isn't the problem. The problem will be whether Adobe Stock can actually review all these images in time, because they typically take around 6 to 8 weeks within my account to actually review the images and have them uploaded and ready in my portfolio. And I don't expect to make a crazy amount of money from this point to the end of the year, as my guess is a lot of the earnings will come early next year or just generally throughout next year. But I think it will be a cool idea to make a video series out of this side hustle where I basically give you guys quarterly updates on earnings, performance, and how things are going, just generally over the long term. But to keep my costs as low as possible from here on out, I'm thinking to only pay for the Midjourney standard plan for like a month or two, and basically just go crazy generating as many images as I possibly can within that short period in both fast and relaxed mode, and then stop paying for the subscription while I gradually wait for these images to get accepted onto Adobe Stock. And in case you didn't know what I meant by relaxed mode, with the standard and pro plan with Midjourney, you can actually change the settings from fast to relaxed mode, which is basically another way of generating your images, but it is slightly slower than the fast mode. But the benefit to doing this is that you have no limits to the amount of images that you can generate within that month. Whereas if you went for the basic plan, you don't get the option of using relaxed mode, and you typically only get around 200 images out of your fast generations. So by doing this and paying for the standard plan, I'm hoping to generate around 10,000 images within a month or two and only pay $30 for each month. And I'm thinking of doing the same thing for the AI image upscaler website as well, because if I just pay $19 for 1 month, I could gradually upscale all of my 10,000 images across that 1 month. And I will likely pay for this plan once I get closer to the 8,000 images mark. That way I know I won't have to pay for any more than 1 month. Because one thing I did forget to mention in my previous video is the amount of money I would have had to have spent on Midjourney and the AI image upscaler website within those 90 days. And although I was using them for other reasons and other businesses, I would have actually lost money if I was just doing it solely for Adobe Stock. But I'm interested to see if I can get away with spending just $50 to $80 on 2 months of Midjourney and then a month of the AI image upscaler website, and then compare it to the amount of money that the 10,000 images make me and how quickly it can return me that money as well. And one other recent update which was made by Midjourney is their new 6.1 version, which now produces slightly better quality images and more accurate images, which is perfect for what we're trying to do with stock photography. So having this come through now means all of my new images should be slightly better than all the images I uploaded before, and this should result in more people being happier to license images from my portfolio than the previous few months. And one other slight adjustment I'm thinking of making, which should improve my new images, is by upscaling them by 400x instead of the 200x that I was previously doing. And the reason I was previously upscaling them by 200x is because with the 400x, whenever I tried it out, it always just seemed to make the images look way worse and really AI generated. And to give you an example, and hopefully you can see the difference, but by looking at the stone wall and plant in this image, you can see that the 400x image has more noise and grain in it, where the upscalers tried to add in more pixels, and this is where I thought it started to ruin the image a little bit. But now looking over it again, it does generally make the image look sharper and more clear, which I suppose does make it more appealing for people to license these images. But now to give you guys an idea of what's been selling best from my current images up to this point, the top earning image was of a house with solar panels on in Las Vegas, which has made a total of $5.60. And then next, the more surprising one is a Korean woman working at a radio station, earning a total of $4.29. And when generating these batch of images, I didn't think they would do well at all, but perhaps that's where the money is to be made, by selling images that no one is really thinking to take photos of or generate. But up next, the third top selling image is of a cargo ship sailing at sea, earning a total of $3.60. But in general, when scrolling through my top sellers, I'm currently seeing more of these solar panel related images being sold more than any other type of images. And I guess this could have something to do with this industry being relatively new, with a lot of people going to solar panel sales or starting companies that offer to install or provide solar panels for their local areas. But then second to that, it looks like food and drink images have performed well, as I'm seeing more of these as I scroll through, and I guess the food and beverages industry is something that is never going away and really only continues to expand as more and more people eat out or use food delivery services. So it's safe to assume that these types of images are generally a good bet, because for one, AI very rarely messes them up and they generally look like real photos most of the time, and for two, people and businesses are always going to need them. And I think the best way to perform well in this area is by creating images of food dishes and beverages that are generally quite uncommon, or by creating images of any normal food dish or beverage but in at least a unique surrounding, backdrop or environment. Because looking at my 6th most sold image, which has made a total of $2.87. It's of an iced tea glass on a wooden table outside on a sunny day, and I think this performed well because of the background and setting over anything else. And this same concept is also my 8th best-selling image of the same thing, earning me a total of $2.76. So from here on out, I'm going to try and bear this in mind when creating more food and beverages images and see if it makes a difference at all. And before I end it here, I want to quickly answer some comments that were left in my previous video, with the main one being, how long does it actually take for Adobe to review your images? And one comment actually mentioned that it takes up to 6 months. Now, of course, I can only speak from my own personal experience, but whenever I upload my images to the Adobe Stock dashboard, I always get a blue message that pops up that says it generally takes up to 8 weeks for the review process to go through. So I'm not sure if that's just how it is for my account or if other people are receiving the same review period, but from my personal experience, they take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And one other comment mentioned the size of the images that I was uploading to my portfolio, and this was during the time that I was using the 200x upscaler, and in the comment they said, you seem to have your pics set to 5376 by 3584 pixels. What are the recommended sizes on these sizes? Maybe you are making them a little bit too small for commercial pictures. And this comment had a few other people like it, so I'm guessing there's a few others wondering the same thing. So the recommended size issued by Adobe themselves was 2400 by 1600 pixels, which means most of the images that you upscale within Midjourney will comfortably meet these requirements without any further upscaling needing to be done. But to the part where they mention commercial pictures, I would actually have to agree with this and say yes, having a higher pixel count will definitely help, as the clients or customers on Adobe Stock will deem these pictures to be of a higher quality, and for commercial purposes like advertising, marketing and their website, they would be happier to license them, which is another reason why I'm going to begin upscaling my images by 400x, as I'm hoping this will appeal to more people and make them happier when they do license my images, but only time will tell. So as soon as I hit 10,000 images within my portfolio, I will post another update video here to show you guys how things went. So make sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for when that video drops, and I will see you then. Take care, bye for now, peace.